Good morning, Advait. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. We'll wait for because there is only one, two students.
Yeah, sir.
We'll wait for 5 minutes.
Okay.
You can have a look on this various lathe operations. If you wish, you can copy it also. Of course, I am going to share this. But why I'm asking you to copy it so that you'll have a practice. You will know how to you know draw the figures. I hope you have copied. Hello, hello.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir, 1 minute.
I'm audible. No? Hello, I'm audible. No.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I was telling, I have given one announcement in the classroom also. Seven students they have submitted the assignment number one. Seven students, and what I have noticed that naming the points there are some mistakes. So they are losing 1 mark there. That is, they are not named the points properly in the top view as well as in the front view. In the front view, it will be all dash, and all the points has to be named. All the points, and there are only 4 points. P1, P2, P3, P4 on the left hand side, and Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 on the right hand side. And same when you project in the front view, it will appear as P1 dash, P2 dash, P3 dash, P4 dash, and Q1 dash, Q2 dash, Q3 dash, Q4 dash. Because this is the most important points. If you are not writing all these points, then unnecessarily you will lose 1 mark. At the same time, you have to mention top view and front view because if there are only two views, we are not sure upside down which one is top view and which one is front view. Understand? No? It can be either way. Top view also can be front view also can be top view. So either you have to write top view, front view, or you have to specify the angle of projection. If you are writing first angle of projection, then yes, then it is clear uh, that ऊपर वाला है that is front view and नीचे वाला है that is top view. This is the second observation. And again, you must write your name and roll number minimum. If you are writing production, fine. If you are writing assignment number one, fine. If you are writing assignment name, that is also fine. But these two things you must write, that is your name and roll number. Otherwise, it will not be graded. It will be just written back. So remember, I repeat that you have to mention all the points. Then second thing is you have to write your name and roll number. Then third thing what I told. Anybody? You have to write top view, front view, or you mention first angle of projection. And another most important is that your diagram should not be very light. Uh, when you are sending the images, it should be readable because few images, one or two images, I have seen that the points were not. It means we had written the points since we know that's why we understand. But see that it's dark enough to read before you send, before you upload, or before you post your image in classroom. Just check once you take the image. Just check it in your mobile whether you are able to read it or not. Then one or two students they forgot to attach. They forgot to attach their image. So again, it was written. Then one student he has the issue of laptop. So at present you should not bother about laptop because you can work from your mobile, isn't it? You have to just draw it on a paper and then you take a photo of that, and on the mobile you can use Google Classroom to post it, right? So at present, for these three problems, what we are going to do on intersection doesn't need laptop. You can very well do it from the mobile. And so let's go to this now. What are the different operations, lathe operations? This you know, you are already familiar with this. Since this is mother of machines, I am showing you again and again. All the components you are familiar. Lathe operations you are familiar. Alright. So once again I will run through. This is your straight turning. This is your taper turning. Then this is profiling. This particular operation. So here you are combining both the feeds. That is cross feed. This is what is your cross feed, and this is what is your longitudinal feed. So you are combining both the feed. This is your recessing. Recess. This is a recess. The difference between recess and groove is recess is wide and groove is not as wide as recess. Like suppose recess can be 20 mm, whereas grooves are generally up to 5 mm, not more than 5 mm. Then this is your facing operation. This is a grooving on the face. See, this is what is your component is, and on this component you are doing on the face you are doing grooving. You can see this groove, and this is a tool which is doing grooving. So you can do grooving operation which is being done on the face. Then this is cutting with the form tools. So this is what is your tool. Form tool is. This is what is your form tool is. You're doing cutting here. Then you have boring operation. Boring means, as I told, that it is nothing but enlarging the holes. And internal growing. Internal growing means you are doing grooves inside the bore. Grooves inside the bore. Then drilling. You can see the flutes here on the drills. So these flutes are used for guiding the chips. The chips can come out because if the chips do not come out, then chips will exert a tremendous force and the drill will break. This is your cutting off, or also called as the parting off. You have to be very careful. The speed and feed rates are very less in case of parting off because the tools are delicate and it may break. This is your threading operation, which is now these particular threads are right hand threads. You can notice right hand threads are inclined towards left. So any threads which are inclined towards left, that is called as the right hand thread, and if it is inclined towards right, then those are called as the left hand threads. This is a knurling operation. Knurling operation is done to have a good grip on the component. A typical cutting tool will look like this. This is shank. So altogether there are 6 angles. Remember 6 angles. And in tool nomenclature also 6 angles will be specified. Altogether there will be 6 angles. 2 angles over here on this, 2 angles on this, and 2 angles over here. Alright. So on this face, this is for the shank and this is for the face. On this face, you have 2 angles. Those are called as the back rake angle and side rake angle. On this face, that is on the top, you have 2 angles. One is your back rake and another is your side. Then on the front face, this is called as the flank. It's not written. Front flank and side flank. On the front flank, again you have 2 angles. One is side relief angle. See, you have to note how the tool is grind. This is your side relief angle, and another is side cutting angle. Alright. Now this is your end flank, or it is also called as the side flank. On that you have again 2 angles. One is called the end cutting edge angle, and another is called as the end relief angle. So there will be 6 angles you have to remember, and you have to mention all the 6 angles whenever the tool nomenclature is asked. So tool nomenclature on the lathe machine is important. We are not going to ask you tool nomenclature or tool geometry for drills, for milling cutters, for shaping cutters, for poaching, gear cutting. No, only the tool nomenclature on lathe will be maybe asked. So 6 angles you have to mention, and then another important parameter is nothing but the nose radius. This nose radius. You have to show a small radius here. This radius gives the strength to the cutting tool. Will offer the strength to the cutting if it is sharp. As I have been telling, a sharp point will not exist. It will, moment you touch, it will get blunt. But sharp means what? Area is zero. Area is zero, and stress is always given by force upon area. Stress is always given by force upon area. So when the area is zero, in case of sharp point, the stress will be infinite. force upon 0. 0 is in the denominator. So what do you say? That it is highly stressed, and anything, any component which is highly stressed is going to collapse, is going to get damaged very easily. Human body also, if it is highly stressed, it gets damaged, isn't it? So same is for any mechanical system. So that's why always remember that sharp point has to be avoided in any design. These are work holding devices. Again, work holding devices on lathe machine will be us, not on any other machines. So work holding devices, what is this? This is your headstock. Alright. Now you have a hollow inside this. Then you have spindle nose cap. Now inside this hollow, this spring collet is fixed. Now how does it gets fixed? On this taper. So this taper aligns with this taper and it gets fixed. It also has thread. So on this thread also it is hold so that this collet doesn't move in this direction. That is, while the machine is running at high speeds, this collet will not come out. Now this collet has inside hole, internal hole here. In this, we are going to hold workpiece. Remember, now this collet is round, so it will hold only round bars, bright bar. That is the bars which are in finished condition. It's generally not used for holding hot rolled bar. Hot roll means it's in oxidized condition. That means the surface finish is not proper. The collets are specified like 10 mm collet, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. मेरे पास 25 का collet है. So the meaning of I have 25 का collet means it will hold the diameter from 24 to 25, 1 mm. The range is 1 mm because the bright bar may not be exactly 25. See, we are going to be manufacturing engineering. 0 is not possible. You have to give tolerances. So sometimes you may receive round bar having size 24.5, 24.6. So your this wallet we have specified as diameter 25, that I have diameter 25 wallet will hold the components right from 24 to 25. Somebody has joined or anybody is waiting here. And it is not necessary that it should be round. It can be square or it can be hexagon, it can be pentagon. If it is square, it means it will hold square bar. If it is hexagon, means it will hold hexagonal bar. Now this collet is made out of spring steel. Material is spring steel EN47. So that's why it is capable of taking that 1 mm variation because of the springing action. So one factor is it is made out of spring steel, and another factor is there are slit, slits. You understand? A slit, matlab cut, small cut. You can see here, small cut or small slits which are cut on the periphery, or which are cut on the diameter. So because of the slits, it can open and collapse, so that it can take the variation of 1 mm. So collet is a work holding devices. Chuck is a work holding devices. 3-jaw chuck, 4-jaw chuck, hydraulic chuck, pneumatic chuck, face plate is a work holding devices. This is how now this you have to refer, that is First is A, then next is B. This is how the collet is fixed up inside the spindle. And in the collet, we are inserting a round bar, that is workpiece. So this is how your round bar will go, or workpiece will pass through the collet and through the spindle, and because of the springing action, it will get clamped. The purpose of collet, or the advantage of collet, is it clamps on the circumference, entire circumference. That means it has a good grip. It has a good grip. That is one major advantage. And second thing is, the component will not rotate out. The component will not rotate out. Means it will run concentric, exactly concentric with the spindle. That is, we say it runs true to the axis of rotation of the spindle. It will not run out. I hope you understand. Run out, running out, and running concentric means. So these are the two advantages of the collet. One is that it runs true, and another thing that it gives good grip. Then what are the disadvantages? Disadvantage is that collet can give grip only on bright surface finish. That is, the surface finish should be good. It cannot hold like chuck. It cannot hold uneven piece, or it cannot hold rough piece. It functions exactly like your three jaw
Hello, sir.
soft. Hello, it function
Sir,
exactly.
Anmol wants
Yes.
to join in.
Sorry, who
Anmol
wants to
wants to
join?
join in. Yes.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Yeah, he's in.
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome. So the limitation of the quality is the surface finish of the workpiece should be good. Surface finish of the workpiece should be good. Then you have three jaw chuck and you have four jaw chuck. Ah, the upper one is three jaw chuck. The lower one is four jaw chuck. Now try to understand. If possible, in the examination, try to draw this figure. Those who are good in drawing, they can. Otherwise, some sketching, some line work you can do. It need not be exactly in 3D kind of diagram. Even if you draw two views, like front view and side view, that is sufficient. So three jaw chuck functions like your collet, which is used for holding the cylindrical. And as I have already told that there is a chuck key, that is this, and with the help of this chuck key, in case of three jaw, all the jaws will be operated simultaneously. That is, it will come inside. Even if you put the key in one hole, with the help of one hole, all the jaws can be operated. So it can move inside as well as it can move outside. Again, the limitation of three-jaw chuck is that it can be used only for symmetrical, generally for the cylindrical, cylindrical or for the round workpiece. And then you have four-jaw chuck, that is this. So you have four jaws here, one, two, three, and four. Now this particular component, just note it how it is hold. It is hold on the inside diameter. All right. That means it is hold on this tape. यहाँ पे hold किया है on this tape, which is round. Can be hold here also. Advantage of four jaw chuck is it can hold not only round but any odd shaped jaws, square, rectangular, hexagonal, uh, symmetrical, non-symmetrical workpieces can be held inside this Forja chuck. It gives good grip. Why? Because generally Forja chucks they use hard jaws, and hard jaws will have serrations like this. These are the serrations, which gives a good grip on the component. Which gives a good grip on the component. But the disadvantage is that it will create an impression on the workpiece. So if you don't want impression, then you have to again machine that. Castings, forgings, rolled components can be held here because the surfaces are rough and those surfaces has to be machined later on. Now in whether it is three jaw or four jaw, you have again two concepts here. It can be hard or it can be soft. So we call it the soft jaw chuck and hard jaw chuck. Soft jaw and hard jaw. So in case of hard jaw, these jaws are hardened. That is, the heat treatment is done. Hardened means now you are. I know you are not learned heat treatment. So hardened means you are heating these jaws to some temperature. That is for the recrystallization temperature. Then you have to hold it and then you have to quench it in some liquid so that it becomes hard. You will slowly understand heat treatment process in metallurgy. So since these jaws are harder, it gives a good grip, but it will create impression. Another is soft jaw. Soft jaw means what? You are just using ENet material and you are not doing any hardening. You are not doing any hardening. So the advantage of soft jaw is that it will not create impression on the workpiece. The workpiece will not get damaged. So once the component is machined from one side, it is turned and inserted into soft jaw, and then you can do the setup too. So the purpose of soft jaw is to hold the pre-machined component as it doesn't create any impression. The surface finish is not damaged, but you have to be very careful about the depth of cut and the feed rates. You cannot give more depth of cut or the feed rates cannot be high. Otherwise, the component will fly off. It will come out of the chuck. This is how the collet chuck will look like, which I just described. See now here it is written 16. These are the slits what I was talking about. These are the slits. They are running, longitudinally along longitudinal axis. These threads are for holding the collet, so that collet doesn't escapes out of the spindle. This is the bore in which the workpiece is going to be held. Now 16 mm means it will hold the component from 15 to 16 mm. But it has to be a bright bar. It should have a good surface finish because this bore is ground. इसको हम लोग grind करते हैं. So we should not use rough surface, rough component, rough workpiece. Because of this slit, and also because of the material property, that is EN47, it can take the variation of 1 mm, that is 15 to 60 mm. Another accessory is magnetic chuck. Now what happens, suppose if you don't want to hold it on the outside diameter, there are some constraints on the workpiece that now workpiece cannot be held on the outside diameter. So in such case, the workpiece can be hold on the magnetic chuck, and then this chuck has to be hold inside a bigger chuck, 4-jaw chuck, which is already mounted on the lathe machine. So in the lathe machine, you have already have a 3-jaw chuck, or you already have a 4-jaw chuck, in which you have to hold this magnetic chuck. That means a chuck within chuck, a chuck within chuck. So you have a magnetic chuck hold within 4-jaw chuck. The advantage is what? You are not holding it on the diameter. You are holding it on the face, and then you have to keep the magnet on. You have to keep the magnet on. The disadvantage is that the clamping or the holding is not as strong as what you get in chuck and what you get in collet. If you want very strong, then you have to go for good quality magnetic chuck. So that is one. Another thing is, by mistake, suppose if you give more depth of cut, or if you increase the feed rates, the accident may happen. That is, workpiece may leave the magnetic chuck. Then third disadvantage is that you have to keep the workpiece exactly in the center, so that the workpiece axis runs true with the spindle axis. Here in the magnetic chuck, if the feeds are little high, then the workpiece may not remain exactly in the center. It may move little out. So you do not get very accurate components on the magnetic chuck. Generally, we do not use magnetic chuck on the lathe machine. We use it on the grinding machines. So these are two. Now we'll do some numericals. So I'll request you to write down some formulas. Some formulas. Take notebook and pen. So the first formula is taper turning. We have to complete this today. Taper turning. So generally there will be one question on numerical, 5 marks, and you have almost 5 to 6 types of numerical, not more than that. Out of that only it will be asked. You are familiar now. I have told you quite number of times how to do taper turning. In taper turning, generally we have to swell the compound slide. See, there are various methods. So one of the method is you have to swell. Swell means what? You have to rotate the compound slide at the desired angle. So how to calculate that desired angle? So there is a very basic, trigonometric formula which we have learned in 9th standard and 10th standard in trigonometry. That is tan of alpha is equal to bigger diameter minus smaller diameter divided by 2 times the length. So L is nothing but the length of the taper, D2 is nothing but the bigger diameter, and D2 D2 is the smaller diameter and D1 is the bigger diameter. It is very simple. Why we are dividing by 2? See, you draw a right angle triangle like this in your notebook, like this. This is hypotenuse 1 and 1 like this. Okay. Again, I don't want to go in pen and draw. So like this right angle triangle you are given. So now tan is nothing but opposite upon adjacent. Alright. Now adjacent is nothing but the length of the taper, and this opposite is nothing but the this distance. So this distance is nothing but difference between the diameter, but we have to take along radius. So that's why we have to divide by 2. Diameter divided by 2 will give the radius. So this is what the angle of the taper to which your compound slide has to be swelled. So that is the first formula. Tan of alpha is equal to bigger diameter minus smaller diameter divided by 2 times length, where alpha is nothing but the taper angle to which your compound slide has to be swelled. First formula. Then second formula is cutting speed. V is equal to pi dn upon 1000. V is equal to pi dn upon 1000. The value of pi you know, that is 22 by 7. D is nothing but the diameter of the workpiece, or it is nothing but the diameter which is clamped in the lathe machine. So in case of lathe machine, D is nothing but the diameter of the workpiece. In case of milling machine, the D is nothing but the diameter of the tool. So how you remember D? In case of lathe, the workpiece is rotating, so that's why we take diameter of the workpiece. In case of milling or in case of drilling, the tool is rotating, so that time we take the diameter of the drill or diameter of the milling cutter, end mill.
Sir,
Yeah,
can you add Anmol Sharma?
sorry,
Can you add Anmol Sharma?
just a minute. Just to join, I can't see him. Hello, hello. I don't know. Huh? I can't see him in the waiting. Hello, Rutika. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can't see him waiting. Maybe he may not be using code or link properly. Okay, let's continue. Huh? I'll share the
Okay.
recorded link. Huh? Yeah, so V is equal to pi d n upon 1000. So D is nothing but the diameter of the workpiece in case of lathe. D is nothing but the diameter of the tool in case of drilling machine and in case of milling machine. And N is the revolutions per minute, RPM. Now you have to do the dimension analysis on left hand side and right hand side properly. The unit of cutting speed, this is nothing but a velocity, is meters per minute. Meters per minute. Pi being constant, no unit. D is the diameter which is always given in millimeter. D is the diameter which is given in millimeter, and in order to get in meter, because our cutting speed is in meter per minute, in order to get in meter we are dividing by 1000, because 1 meter is equal to 1000 millimeter. 1 meter is equal to 1000 millimeter. And then N is always in revolutions per minute. Remember, revolutions per minute. Now here, cutting speed in case of lathe machine, if the workpiece is if the workpiece is MS. MS is mild steel. That's the name of the material. Workpiece material can be steel, can be aluminum, can be copper, anything. Can be wood, can be plastic. If the workpiece material is MS, and if tool material is HSS. HSS stands for high speed steel. Then you have to take cutting speed as 25 meters per minute, 20 to 25 meters per minute. Generally, you write it as, you take it as 25 meters per minute. Alright. Then feed rates F. If it is MS, material is workpiece material is MS, and if the cutting tool is HSS, speed rates you have to take it as 0.2 millimeter for revolution. You can write on these values. F you have to take it as 0.2 millimeter per revolution. Now let us calculate the RPM of the spindle. I'll give you an example. Find out simple example. Find out the RPM. Find out the RPM at revolution per minute for the workpiece having diameter having diameter 50 mm. Take cutting speed as 25 meters per minute. Please find out. So now here you have to substitute. You have the formula V is equal to pi d n upon 1000. So on the left hand side you substitute V as 25. So 25 is equal to pi into diameter is how much? 50 into n upon 1000. Now quickly find out the RPM n. Let me see how many of you can find out. If you wish, you can write it in the chat box, or you can orally also you can tell me. So this is the second formula. First formula is tan alpha. Second formula is cutting speed. Anybody got the answer? Cutting speed is 25, diameter is 50.
Sir, 159.15.
Yeah, that is right. 159.15 exactly. So n is equal to 159.15. Very good. Okay, then next formula, that is MRR. MRR stands for the material removal rate. So material removal rate is equal to 1000 into V into D into F. Now regarding units, here V, that is cutting velocity, it is expressed in millimeter per minute. D is nothing but the diameter. You should be very careful about the units. Otherwise, it is very simple calculation. D is nothing but the diameter which is expressed in millimeter, and F is the feed rate. Feed rate means what? You know now. It is the rate at which the tool is moving. That's again a tool velocity. So feed rate is millimeter per minute. So this is in millimeter, millimeter, and millimeter per minute. So that means material removal rate you will get it in millimeter cube per minute. MRR, that is material removal rate, will get it in millimeter cube per minute. Right? Which you can convert in whichever units you want. Whether you want centimeter cube per minute or now, the purpose of this material removal rate is, there are two purposes. One is to find out how much is the reduction in the weight, that is how much material you are going to remove it, so that is called the waste, isn't it? And second is how, in order to determine the horsepower of the motor. So if I want good material removal rate means faster. I want that my machine should cut fast. And obviously, HP should be more. So, based on MRR, you can determine the HP of the machine. So, you have three formulas. One is tan alpha, second is V is equal to, and third is MRR. Alright. Now, let us take a simple problem. A mild steel rod, it is also short form is MS, is also represented by MS. So MS is the most general purpose raw material, engineering raw material, which is used in general purpose workshop. So the rod is having a diameter of 50. The length of the rod to be turned on the lathe is 500 mm. You have to find out the machining time to reduce the rod to 45 mm in one pass. One pass matlab we are talking only one cut. That is the tool is moving from here to here, and in one cut you are finishing the component. Generally it is not so practically. Practically हम लोग कैसे करते हैं? You keep some finishing allowance, and instead of going for one cut directly, you take two cuts. Generally we take a cut of 2 millimeter or 1.5. So we are reducing this 50 to 45. Remember, so 50 to 45, that means the depth of cut. Remember, the depth of cut is always calculated radially. Depth of cut means how much the tool is penetrating inside, and it will be always radial. Remember, because in case of lathe, the workpiece is rotating. That means if you are giving the depth of cut as 1 mm, your diameter will reduce by 2 mm. This is what you have to always remember. Or if my diameter is reduced by 6 mm, that means my depth of cut is 3 mm. Remember, there should not be any mistake in this. So now in this case, the rod is reduced to 45 millimeter in one pass. So that means the depth of cut will be 50 minus 45, that is 5 divided by 2, is 2.5. Cutting speed, that is V, is given as 30 meter per minute, and the feed is 0.7 millimeter per revolution. So you have to find out how much time it will take. I'll just give you a minute. First you find out RPM, that is N. Do step by step. First you find out RPM, that is N, revolutions per minute. Be fast. Anybody got the RPM? Anybody got the RPM? Rutika, did you got the RPM? And
Sir,
using the
one
formula V is equal to pi d n upon 1000. Advait, be interactive. लेक्चर छोड़ के मत जाओ, इधर उधर घूमो मत. Dimple, are you there?
So 190.98.
Yeah, Fernandez, you got it right. Rutika, what is your value? What is your answer? Are you there, Rutika?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How much you got? Are you doing it or not? It's very simple. You can do it on your mobile. Are you watching this on mobile or on laptop?
On mobile, sir.
On mobile. Acha. Okay, fine. Then you may have difficulty, no, in operating calculator from the mobile. Shall I go
Yes.
ahead, Rutika? Fernandez says there is only one Fernandez, no, in this class. Yeah, Fernandez.
Yes, sir.
How do you spell your? How do you pronounce your first name? Ranin. How do you pronounce?
Yeah, Ranan.
Ranin, no? Yeah. Okay, so now you got n as 190.98, which is nothing but 191. You can round it off to 191. Next time, please keep your calculators with you. So this is what is your given data is D is 50, length to be turned is 500, cutting speed is 30 meters per minute, F is 0.7 millimeter per revolution. So you substitute this value in this model, V is equal to pi d n upon 1000, and you will get 81 RPM. Very simple. Now you have, again somebody has to tell me, maybe Renan, F is given as 0.7 millimeter per revolution. Alright. Now what is the meaning of this 0.7 millimeter per revolution feed? That means the tool is moving at the rate of 0.7 millimeter per revolution. That means if my spindle rotates or if my workpiece rotates in one revolution, the tool will move by 0.7. Is it clear? The meaning of this is very important. You have to remember. You want to get 5 marks. 0.7 millimeter per revolution का मतलब है if my workpiece rotates through one revolution, my tool moves by 0.7 millimeter. So now I will convert this feed into from millimeter per revolution to millimeter per minute. So how do I convert? Can anybody tell me what will be the feed rates in millimeter per minute? I'll tell you how to find out. Like now, suppose the spindle has completed 191 revolutions in 1 minute. So in one revolution, the tool has moved 0.7. So in 1 minute, how much the tool will move? Obviously, you will have to multiply 191 into 0.7, isn't it? Because 1 minute में spindle 191 times rotate किया है. Spindle has rotated 191 times. So now you tell me what will be the feed rate, velocity F in millimeter per minute. So that is 1 into 0.7. How much it comes, Renan?
133.6.
133.4. And what will be its units? That is millimeter per minute. Millimeter per minute. Now the meaning of this is the tool will move a distance of 133.4 millimeter in 1 minute. Now, how much we have to move? We have to
Sir,
move, yeah,
so I got 133.7.
133.7. Let me calculate. Just a minute. 191 into zero point 0.7. So that is 133.7. 133.7. So millimeter per minute. The meaning of this, in 1 minute, the tool moves by 133.7. Or in other way, a distance of 133.7 is moved in 1 minute. And how much we have to move? The tool we have to move by 500. So now find out the time. You know the velocity of the tool. Velocity of the tool is 133.7 millimeter per minute. So what we'll have to do? Let me know how we will find out the machining time. This is what is nothing but the machining time. Yes, Renan, how much it is coming? Yes, what's the time required to machine? What is the machining time for 500 mm? So it will be 500 divided by 133.7. That is nothing but it is coming as 3.74 minutes. So to turn 500, it will take 3.74 minutes. Did you get it, Fernandez?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now this 0.7 millimeter per revolution is quite high. As I told, generally we take feed rate as 0.2. So if I take F as 0.2 millimeter per revolution, obviously the machining time will be more, isn't it? So we will quickly find out effect of feed rate on machining time. So now suppose if my feed rate is 0.2 millimeter per revolution, so what will be machining time? You have N as 191. N is equal to 191. Now you multiply this 191 by 0.2, because now the feed rate, what I told, you can write it on your notebook. Feed rate I told 0.2 millimeter per revolution. So 191 into zero point 0.2. How much it comes? 191 into zero point 0.2. So that is nothing but 38.2 millimeter per minute. So feed rate is 38.2 millimeter per minute. So what will be the machining time? Now my speed of the tool is 38.2 millimeter per minute. The meaning of this is in 1 minute the tool moves by 38.2. So how much I have to move? 500. So what will be the machining time? So obviously 500 divided by 38.2. So that is equal to 13.1. 13.1 minute. I hope you understood this. You are understanding this.
Yes.
So when the feed rate was 0.7, so that time the machining time was 3.74, that is 4 minutes. Now we have reduced the feed rate, so obviously machining time will increase. So we reduce the feed rate to 0.2. So the time machining time was 13.13 minutes. Okay. So this is how you have to play around. But obviously, suppose if we increase the feed rate, definitely your tool is going to blunt faster. आपका tool जल्दी खराब होगा. And HSS, high speed steel, cannot take such a high feed rates. If you want to have such a high feed rates, then you have to go for higher quality, good quality, like carbides, diamond, CBN, cemented carbide, those kind of tools, and not HSS. So first thing is HSS will not cut at 0.7, and if it cuts also, it will get blunt very fast. So if it is HSS, you have to go for zero point 0.2. But since it was given in the question, we are taking it. If they would not have given, then you would have assumed it as 0.2, which I have told. If it is not given, then you take V as 25 meters per minute and F as 0.2 millimeter per revolution. Now you have another formula, use of other formula, that is how to find out the taper angle. So we'll quickly go through it. Determine the angle at which the compound rest could be swelled for cutting a taper on a workpiece. And the length of the taper is 150, outside diameter is 80, smaller diameter is 50. The total length of the workpiece is 150, and out of which you have to cut taper only on 80 mm. That means length of the taper is not 150. I'm sorry, the length of the taper is 80 mm. Very simple it is. So we have learned tan of alpha is equal to bigger diameter, that is 80, minus smaller diameter, that is 50, divided by 2 into length of the taper. Remember, you have to take length of the taper and not length of the workpiece. Understand? This is just given just to confuse you, just to make you mistake. Huh? So 80 minus 50 upon 2 into 80. So that is nothing but 30 upon or 15 upon 80, or 1 by 8. And alpha is, so the compound rate should be swelled at 10.62 degree. Other references, Hazrat Chaudhary volume 2 has got this. Okay, now if you have any doubts, if you have any questions, just let me know. I will do one or two problems more in the beginning of the next lecture itself, maybe for another 10 minutes. So I'll request you, all of you know, to be present with the calculator and notebook. So if you have any doubt, please ask. And Rutika, hello.
Yes, sir.
I'll upload this both the PPTs today on the classroom, and 7 students they have submitted the assignment one. So if uh, I don't know whether they have any difficulties in submitting, because this was a simple problem. In case if they have difficulties, you just let me know, Rutika.
Okay. Okay, sir.
I think you have also not submitted, no? If I am not mistaken.
No.
You have any problem like don't have stationery or something like that?
No, sir.
No, no. Many shops are open, no? Except this Thane.
Yes.
If you have any genuine reasons, just let me know. Difficulties.
Okay, sir.
Anyway, the date is
So,
27. Yeah.
so the
Yes.
steps were not
Hansen.
so.
Yeah.
So the
Sorry.
steps were not so clear, sir. Like I was finding it very difficult to draw the what do you say, top view in the questions, sir.
Okay. So what I will do, I will send another solution in which the steps are given very clearly. I will upload
Sir,
it.
so actually, I wanted to ask how would we be able to draw the view if without the side view, we would also have to construct the side view now for making the top view and this uh, front view.
Uh, Now here only the two views are required, only the top view and the front view. In this problem, the side view was not required.
Oh, so but it would be
Huh?
difficult without the side
Huh?
view to draw the top view, now top view and the front view.
No, this prism you can draw, no? Top view and front view without side view. I
So the
explained also no that day. You can calculate end to end dimension because you know the side no. You know the
yes,
side of prism 35. So using trigonometry, you just calculate the diagonal.
okay, sir.
Understand? No, what you are
Yes, yes,
saying, I understood. That is actually a correct method. But
yeah.
here in this case, just calculate the diagonal and draw it.
Okay, sir.
Understand? No?
Yes, sir.
Clear? No? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other doubts? Please ask, guys. Uh, we can end the meeting. No doubts, Ritika? Then yeah, we can leave then. You can leave. Thank you so much. And do you have any doubt, Solanki? Hello? Are you there?